Good evening all and welcome to the premiere episode of a brand new season of Silver Screen. We've decided to do things a little differently this season and try a few new things out. So we now have three, yes you heard me, three different co-hosts. Each one of our co-hosts brings a different energy to the show and we're going to be rotating them on a weekly basis just to keep everyone on their toes. But let's get into some introductions. Firstly we have Kia Betso or Kia Disimelo. Then we have Zikona Masala, who's unfortunately come down with a bit of a flu bug, but will hopefully be back next week. And then we have Rofiwa Madzena. What is it about cinema that you find fascinating, and what is your favorite film, director, and genre, and why? Kia, let's start with you.
I think film, it's just basically being able to transcend into other worlds, different worlds, fantasy worlds, to be able to escape reality. I can't name one person, but I'll name the one off the top of my head. I love Kubrick, I also love Michel Gondry, but yeah, Kubrick, I mean, he's like a god of film.
What is it about them that makes them so unique and different?
I think his attention to detail, one. The fact that he takes the road less traveled is a second one. I mean, you never walk into a film that Kubrick's made and you're like, oh wow, I've seen this before, or this character's gonna do this, or no, don't go inside that door, he's gonna come after you. You can't predict, you never know what you're gonna get.
And I mean, your favorite Kubrick film, considering his canon is pretty amazing.
Favorite Kubrick film is 2001 Space Odyssey.
Isn't that a cliche though?
It's the best one. I mean,
The Shining, but that's the horror junkie.
Yeah, The Shining, yeah, no.
No, not for you. Okay, Rofiwa.
One of my favorite films, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, it's an Australian film.
Yeah.
It's called Candy, and it's by an Australian director. His name is Neil Armfield, and it's a love story that kind of explores the relationship between the love for people and the love for candy, in this case heroin.
Now, I've been revisiting some classics lately, specifically some 90s classic like Silence of the Lambs, Fried Green Tomatoes, Cape Fear, Goodfellas, and others. Now, there's something about these 90s films that really strikes me, and it's how well made they are and slick they are. What is your take on the current state of Hollywood and where Hollywood is with film production? Kia, let's go with you.
Yeah, you know, too many chefs, too many reboots.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's terrible. There's too many teams, I think, that make movies now.
Do you think it's the whole thing of being made by committee?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest problem. And then the second one is the reboots. Thirdly, I think Hollywood's gone for too much of a commercial value as opposed to, yes, we need to look commercial,
yeah,
but we need to have some sort of realism in that. Whereas, like, for instance, traditionally, if you look at the English films, they had too much realism and not enough commercial value, you know.
Yeah.
And Hollywood's gone way over the other side, where, like, if you take any of the Avengers movies or the Transformers, it looks like one long ad for some watch or something. Or
yeah. Well, it's an over reliance on CGI. You know, this is ultimately what seems to have killed the art of filmmaking. You go to a set these days, and invariably 9 times out of 10 they're shooting on a green screen.
Yeah.
There's no realism left to it anymore. It's a case of we'll fix it in the mix. We'll drag it into edit, we'll throw a few keys over it, we'll throw a few effects over it, and we'll fix everything in the mix. But they've lost as far as I'm concerned, they seem to have lost the art of storytelling and character development. Rafi, what do you think?
I absolutely agree with you, and I mean, just to allude to one of the points you made earlier, I think what Hollywood is doing now is trying to appeal to a really broad market.
Yeah.
There's no limit to who they're trying to appeal to, and I think that's the problem, because as cliche as this may sound, you can't make everyone happy.
Yeah.
And I think that directors or committees have forgotten about that when trying to tell stories, and I think everything just kind of gets lost in the commercial value that this particular production will add to something. So I absolutely agree with you.
Right, let's talk streaming. Look at Netflix original content. Amazon, Hulu, all the others. The way films are being released is changing. The theatrical window is getting smaller. Do you think that audiences are going to keep going to the cinemas, or do you think that the way we're going to consume movies is going to change? I mean, let me give you an example of something I watched this last weekend. War Machine with Brad Pitt. Now, by all accounts, a movie starring Brad Pitt and co-starring Meg Tiddy, who seems to be making a bit of a career resurgence, should be going theatrical, right?
Yeah.
It should be. It didn't. It's straight to Netflix.
Our hope is that you're the man who will get the job done.
I can't tell the difference between the people and the enemy. They all look alike to me.
You're the leader of U.S. forces in Afghanistan, and you have spoken to the president once in 70 days.
That, General, you must know, is a war you will never win.
May I help you?
No, finish your phone call. The war can wait.
I also saw on Amazon Prime a movie called The Wizard of Lies, starring Robert De Niro and Michelle Pfeiffer. And I mean, already there, that's a hell of a cast. You know, that's the kind of thing that you should be seeing in a cinema with a big advertising campaign behind it. Boom, straight to Amazon Prime, straight to HBO, you know, that's it.
People felt safe with you, and yet you were betraying them all.
It was a big story. It was a sensational story. But I think you have to get inside of the story, and that is Madoff.
We're here to find out if there's an innocent explanation.
There is no innocent explanation.
The way he conned everybody by not conning them. I am talking about giving you $100 million.
That's not going to do it by just being so removed and let them come to him.
275.
Love to help you, but I can't.
How far do we gotta go?
If you go above 4, we might have something.
I can do that.
I did as much research as I could about him.
Are we waiting on your lawyers?
I never have lawyers in the office when I'm talking to regulators for 2 reasons. 1, I'm not doing anything wrong. 2, I know the rules better than most because I drafted a majority of them. As an actor, you use whatever you can personally that'll give you the feelings or the attitude. It's supposed to be $50 billion. There's absolutely nothing. It's all gone.
Dad, how could you do this?
You know, you walked onto the set and you gasped because he really was able to inhabit this person.
He has those little teeny moves that he can make from a take to a take that makes him De Niro.
I got a lot on my mind. I'm going away, and who knows if I'm going to come back.
I'm not ready to be alone. You're all I have. I'll go crazy, Bernie, I will.
Ruth Madoff was villainized. Her life in a day was ruined.
Is that Ruth Madoff? Not another word.
It's okay. No, none of it is.
Michelle Pfeiffer is able to make that character come alive.
Even if you had told me, I'm not sure I would have turned you in. I don't know what that says about me.
Everyone turned against her. Her children stopped talking to her. She was completely isolated.
Bernie Madoff's greed brought down and destroyed his entire family.
What do you want?
I want my life back.
This is a dangerous character.
How do you now plead to count 1?
Guilty.
He doesn't have a gun.
How do you plead to count 2?
Guilty.
He's not going to shoot you, but he could destroy your life.
Guilty.
Is that the root? Because of the, I call it the superhero phenomenon, catering to the infantism of, and I know you're feeling it, I'm not insulting you, the infantism of popular culture, making everything appeal to the youngsters. Is that what's going to happen to adults who consume movies in the future? Are they going to keep going to the cinemas, or are they going to watch them at home? I'm opening it up to you.
I'm of one opinion. If you look at the world and where the markets are sitting right now, sorry to talk about money.
Yeah. No, please. We are the money channel after all. Talk about money.
You know, I think Netflix has done quite a wonderful thing, and I don't see them slowing down.
Yeah.
I mean, you've basically saved me on transportation costs, on popcorn costs, on chocolate and tickets, and.
Maybe the reason that some of this really great the script writing and the really well-produced films are going onto platforms like Netflix and Hulu is that the mainstream market is so full of this junk that you would like to call that there's really no space for a movie like you've just described on Netflix to flourish.
And I do think that there is room for these types of films in the marketplace. We just have to make sure we support them. on that note, I would have to say my reviews for these two streaming films that we were discussing would be pretty favorable too. War Machine also brought back an old favorite of mine, as I mentioned, Meg Tilly, who, as far as I was concerned, stole every scene she was in. The only problem I had with War Machine is that the whole film kind of felt a little bit pointless. Now, I mean, the movie is about the futility of war, but at the end of the film, you haven't seen it yet, War Machine. Okay, stream it, it's on Netflix. You both got Netflix. It's available on Netflix worldwide, you can stream it. It was all about the futility of war, but at the end of the film, it was like, hold on a second. Why did I watch that whole film? Because the ending kind of felt pointless. But I would still give it a sort of a satisfactory 6 out of 10, if you will. Now, Wizard of Lies, on the other hand, is truly great filmmaking. Directed by Barry Levinson, who also directed Rain Man, Sphere, Good Morning Vietnam, and a host of others. De Niro and Pfeiffer are both shoo-ins for Emmy nominations for this. Now, normally, if a film like this was playing theatrically, they would be a shoo-in for Oscar nominations, but because it's a made-for-TV film, they're only going to be up for Emmys. It's a made-for-television film that whilst watching it, you actually feel that as if you're watching something so much more, something bigger, something theatrical, something more cinematic than the current crop of Hollywood beep, as far as, you know, that was kind of the impression I was getting. It was reconjuring the films of the 90s, that sort of cinematic, great filmmaking of the 90s.
Ago, I watched Collateral Beauty. Beautiful, beautiful film.
Lived up to its name.
It lived up to its name, absolutely. And there was a point to watching it. So unlike, you know,
just refresh our viewers' memories as to who's in it.
So it's Will Smith.
Yeah.
Kate Winslet is in there.
Yeah, love her.
Love her as well. And a host of other really good actors. And it's a story that really explores our relationships. So it's always about relationships,
of course.
But our relationship with life, time, and death.
Yeah.
And how one man kind of grieves through a very tragic time in his life. And what the film does so beautifully, it's such a simply put together film, and it doesn't have all these, you know, all these extras that
doesn't
you always talk about.
overcomplicate the
no,
screen.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's simple, and it's so simple, but it's able to take you through this journey so well. You know, you're in there from the very beginning till the very end, and you actually feel like you want more.
Yeah.
And that's when you know you've watched a good movie. It's like,
when it leaves you wanting more.
I want more.
And if I had to push you for a rating out of 10, what would you give it?
So it was rated about 7 out of 10.
No, your rating now. This is not someone else's.
It's a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a groupie when it comes to this. One of my favorite actors is in the movie, and the last time I saw him, it was in True Detective, which just so happens to be one of my favorite.
Matthew McConaughey.
The other one, telenovela. But he's also excellent, Woody Harrelson.
I've always loved Woody Harrelson.
So he's amazing. And then it's my favorite series, one of my favorite series, The War of the Planet of the Apes.
We are not savages. Apes fight only to survive.
We created them. Now we will bring an end to their kind.
I did not start this war, but I will finish it. No mercy, no peace.
And Caesar comes back, and this time we see him battling with himself. So the movie is about Caesar's battle with his humanity, even though he's an ape, so to speak. Let me give it a 9 so that I don't sound like too much of a groupie.
Step aside, Wonder Woman. There's a new most beloved blockbuster of the summer, and War of the Planet of the Apes has a level of critical praise that would make even the first lady of superhero movies jealous.
The film releases here on Friday the 14th of July. I really love the others, Rise and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. For me, what's so cool about this series is that, I mean, you know this, Kia, the original, I don't know if you'll know this, the original was from 1968 with Charlton Heston and Roddy McDowall, you know. So this is how long this franchise has been around in some itineration or another, you know, and this current incarnation of it, it seems to be really, I don't know, I found it very cerebral, you know. It doesn't seem to be that typical summer Hollywood blockbuster dumbing everything down. It's a really, really, really cerebral series.
I feel like sometimes when I watch it, like you're watching almost like a bit of a National Geographic sort of thing, because it gets very, very gritty.
It's got that realness that Robert keeps talking about.
And then what I also like about it is they didn't go too far off in terms of like taking CG and making it replace everything. You know, there's still quite a lot that goes into the costumes that they're making.
There's still something organic about it.
There's quite a lot of realness to it.
Right, it's time for a quick trip to the international box office to see what's happening in the summer movie figures in the United States. Paramount's Transformers: The Last Knight took the #1 spot this weekend, as expected, but the opening was the lowest the franchise has seen thus far by a significant margin, as a lot of attention will now turn towards the film's international run. Transformers: The Last Knight brought in a mere $69.1 million over the first 5 days in release, which is an estimated $45.3 million of which over the 3-day weekend. While this is relatively on par with the $70 million industry expectations, it does put a lot of added pressure on the $270 million production. That's what this film was budgeted at. So when you're sitting, I mean, you know, this is the problem with Hollywood. As I said, it's become like a slot machine. Imagine putting $200 million into a slot machine and saying, please, can I win? Please, can I win? Because that's essentially what they're doing. I mean, filmmaking, ultimately, at the end of the day, is a gamble. You know, and all I can say is sequel and Hollywood popcorn movie fatigue. Have we gotten here? I mean, I know you told me that you loved the Transformers films. I mean, my God, they cast Mark Wahlberg. As far as I'm concerned,
let me tell you what
Oak
changed my mind
Tree
about
has
them.
more
Wahlberg
empathy.
Killed it for me.
He was dreadful.
They ruined the Transformers.
As for its international run, the cookie cutter Last Night kicked things off in 41 international markets with an estimated 196 million, led mostly by 123 million from China alone, the largest opening for a Transformers film in that market. Opening weekend demographics domestically show that The Last Night played to an audience that was 57% male and 43% female. And of that crowd, 29% was under the age of 18, and they gave the film a review of A, cinema score. Unfortunately, the 18 and over crowd scored it a bit lower, with the overall rating being B+.
Driving along, Disney's Cars 3 and Wonder Woman are in the tie for second place, both studios reporting an estimated 25.175. Now, I mean, that's getting pretty specific there. They literally tied for second space. Beginning with Cars, the latest Pixar title dipped 53% in its second weekend and now stands just shy of 100 million after 10 days in release.
Now, as for Warner Brothers' Wonder Woman, it continues to live up to its protagonist's name, dropping only 39% in its fourth weekend of release. Remarkable for a film of this scope. The film is now just shy of $320 million domestically and is now outpacing all three of the previous DC Extended Universe releases, as it now passes Batman vs. Superman, yes, Dawn of Justice, which just brought
She's happy about that.
which just brought in $311 million after the same number of days in release. I love the fact that as a woman, this film is breaking all kinds of glass ceilings for female stars and female directors all over the world, gentlemen.
I am Diana of Themyscira, daughter of Hippolyta, Queen of the Amazons. In the name of all that is good, your wrath upon this world is over.
Wonder Woman.
I'm thrilled about this. The fact that this is directed by a woman, number one, and starring a complete unknown, essentially, in the lead. And it's breaking...
She was a soldier from
She was.
Israel,
She's an Israeli soldier.
Can you believe that?
Overall, Wonder Woman has now topped $635 million worldwide, as it currently stands as the 6th largest DC Comics adaptation of all time. So, Kia, I know you've mentioned that this might save DC Comics. So, why did you say that?
Because people are interested in what Wonder Woman is doing. Clearly, they've shown it with their pockets, and she's bringing more money than DC than Superman did, and what Ben Affleck in his little reprise of Batman did. So.
The excitement of there being a different superhero from the Batman and Superman,
and
which is what DC is known for.
Superhero.
Yeah, so it's, I think people are attracted to the difference.
No, she stands her own, and that from the reviews that I've heard is that I think the male protagonist in the film dies quite early on.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So there's this.
Sorry.
So there's quite a lot of excitement about that she can carry the film all on her own.
Entertainment Studios 47 meters down held on rather well, delivering an estimated $7.4 million, which was just a 33.6% drop from its opening weekend last week, as its domestic cume now stands at $24 million.
It's like you're going to the zoo, except you're in the cage.
Ladies ready?
Yeah.
Once you're down there, you're not going to want to come back up.
Oh my God, look at those teeth. What was that?
Stay in the cage.
We have about 20 minutes before we run out. You're not gonna die down here. We have to get back up to the top. There are sharks everywhere.
47 meters down. Rated PG-13. Only in theaters June 16th.
Rounding out the top 5 is a massive decline for Lionsgate's All Eyes on Me, the Tupac Shakur biopic, which delivered a more than expected opening weekend last week, but dropped nearly 80% in its second weekend, delivering just $5.85 million. Its domestic cume now stands at $38.6 million.
They encouraged him.
That'll get you a lot further than a basketball.
Thanks, Mama.
They challenged him.
You want to be a rapper?
I'm Tupac Shakur. I want to change the world.
They gave him the strength.
I ain't no black leader.
Just remember where we come from.
To follow his dream.
None of this is by accident, right?
On June 16th.
You're trying to start a positive movement by using negative symbolism like thug and outlaw.
You gotta enter in somebody's world in order to lead them out.
All Eyes on Me.
Mom, I wouldn't be the man I am without you.
Rated R. Only in theaters.
I've heard a lot of sort of negative things about it, but I've heard like 1 or 2 positive things about it, but it seems to be doing reasonably well at the box office. It's just got no legs. It opened big and then it dropped immediately. What have you guys heard of this?
I think with biopics, I've heard a lot of negative reviews as well, but I think with biopics, as you would have seen with Straight Outta Compton, people are always going to say this is not how the story goes. This is not how the person
There's the
was.
purists.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be that little thing about biopics that you have to be cognizant of when you're going to put something like this out there. But I think, I don't know, I'm not interested to see a biopic of Tupac. There's just been so much about him.
What is it, just because it's before your time?
Maybe it's because it's before my time, but also because it's Tupac.
I'm a bit of a purist when it comes to Tupac.
Yeah.
Very, very sensitive, because I also got caught in, I think, during my teen years.
Yeah.
So I got caught in the whole Pac versus Biggie thing, and I ended up on the west side. So, like, so Tupac, I think he was too real and he was too raw for you. It'll be the hardest thing for any movie producer or director to try and depict Tupac, because he came out in his music videos and he came out in his music and you could sense him. So you're gonna have to get a very excellent actor, you're gonna have to get a very excellent producer, director, and until then I'm gonna drink the haterade. A lot of hip-hop stories are gonna get retold now because of that. I mean, Master P is also looking at telling his life story.
Okay.
Oh boy, so Straight Out of Compton opened a can of worms.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Master P, forgive my
don't even
ignorance. Again, who's Master P?
Yeah, he's,
Do you wanna drop a line from one of these?
Let me say,
Come
na 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 na.
Again,
Shall we move on?
Let's just move on. I think that about brings us to a close for this week's show. Remember to keep your eyes peeled for our monthly screenings, which will be starting in July. All the screenings will be taking place at New Metro Hyde Park. We'll release details on the channel and on social media as soon as our titles have been confirmed. We're also headed off to the Durban International Film Festival and coming to you from there in the weeks ahead. So lots lined up. Keep watching, and we'll be running competitions on a weekly basis too. So stay active with us on social media, tweet us using the hashtag SilverScreen, and email us your reviews, thoughts and comments to silverscreen@abn360.com. This week, the question is an easy one. What's Kia's favorite movie? Email your answer to us at silverscreen@abn360.com to win, yes, this fabulous bottle of Billionaire's Rose champagne.
1,200 rand?
From myself, Robert.
And Rokwa Madana, it's good night.
It's ciao till next time, and we'll see you at the movies.